One guy's seen it, the other guy hasn't. First guy's gonna tell the second guy all about it while they both get drunk. All right, welcome to yet another episode of One Guy's Seen It, the only podcast where one guy has seen the movie, the other guy has not seen the movie, and the first guy is going to try to convince the second guy to see the movie. And if he succeeds, they'll take a break, watch the movie, come back, nerd out about the movie, and decide how many beers you need to enjoy the movie, all while getting progressively more inebriated themselves, because that is what they choose to do with their sentience. But without any further ado, or rigmarole, or hoopla, or ballyhoo, let's get into it. Sumner, give me the skinny.
I'm doing well. I'm doing good. There's only so many ways I can fuck that up.
Look, you don't have. So look, when it's the episodes where I'm the one who's seen it, even though I'm every single time I'm asking you what the skinny is, you have even more time to prepare for what the skinny is if you don't have a movie to prepare to talk about. So there's no excuse for not having a fat or skinny.
Yeah, I never know how to respond to that. I don't know. It's just my brain. That's like how you get me to have a full reset.
You know what you should do? Just literally like next episode, just give me like top news headlines, like world news.
In Gaza today.
In Gaza today, everything hit the fan again.
Unsurprisingly, everybody's pissed off.
Yeah, you know what? Okay, here's the deal. Next time, you just need to have a local weather report, global news, and the latest NFL scores, and I will be satisfied. Dude, I'm sorry. I'm in pain. So I'm getting fucking old, man. So in the last week, I didn't even tell you this. So obviously I cricked my neck worse than I've ever cricked it. It's like from the base of my neck all the way down to my left elbow. It's just in fucking horrible pain constantly for the last week. And then 2 days ago, I tweaked my like TMJ joint, like in my jaw on the right side. Like I just yawned too big, I guess, which I've never done in my life. And like I can't chew anything right now. Like even right now talking, like I'm opening my mouth too wide and it fucking hurts. Dude, like literally, and I've become increasingly more lactose intolerant over the last couple of weeks. Like I'm about to turn 30, bro. It's all over. Like my body is quitting on all fronts.
Yeah, I'm approaching 27 in a couple months, and it's about to. I feel it. I feel my body.
Shut up, dude. I don't want to hear it. You have no idea what it's like to be 2 years older.
My wife is 30. I know what it's like.
Yeah, but Andy's like healthy and moves around all day. I sit in my hole and postulate and think about things, and you know.
I think about Gaza.
I just sit around and think about Jesus.
Yeah, we don't need to go back on that.
Anyway, this is One Guy Seen It, and do I have a movie film for you, my friend?
These are always, I say it every time, but it's always exciting because I never know what you're going to throw at me.
Well, and so this week it's a little more like what I imagine a movie would be that you would pick out for me. It's a little less shitty B movie from my childhood and a little more let's have a weird classic experience together.
I like Spawn a lot. I had a lot of fun with that when we did
Spawn
that a couple weeks ago.
Oh, Species.
Oh, Species.
But don't tempt me. Now we have to watch Spawn if you haven't seen Spawn. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's coming.
Why did I think Spawn?
I don't know, but it's coming next week. Dude, I still have a Spawn action figure from when I was like 6 years old that my uncle got me. Shout out to my Uncle Clay. He always got me the best fucking toys, man. Anyway, okay, so this movie this week, let's see if there's any chance in hell you can figure it out. This is a movie from 1973.
Okay.
It is a French film. It's a sci-fi animated movie, and it was directed by René Laloux, which might be the most beautiful name I've ever heard in my life. It stars Barry Bostwick, Jennifer Drake, and Eric Boggan.
Okay.
And so here is the shortest, tiniest plot I can give you. On a faraway planet where blue giants rule, Oppressed humanoids
I know what
rebel
this is.
against their machine-like leaders. You know what this is?
Uh,
Have you already seen it?
So
Oh God.
no, I haven't.
Okay, but you know about it.
Yeah, I may have seen like the first 10 minutes of it one time.
What?
Yeah.
Man, that's a bummer.
But it's Fantastic Planet.
Yes,
isn't
and you're not supposed to know what it is.
it? Oh, I'm sorry.
You fucking shithead. See, this is why
Yeesh.
I want to quit this podcast.
Yeah, my repertoire is contains multitudes.
It's thick and it's beefy. So this movie is a fucking trip, my friend. But I can't.
When did you see it?
Kaylee made me watch it a couple of weeks ago. I think she came across it and was like, "Ooh, this would be perfect for the podcast." I'm like, you know what? Between you and Andy, like, clearly you guys need to start your own freaking podcast, or please be a guest on this because it's starting to get out of hand.
Yeah, I've asked Andy and she won't do it. I was like, even for like a Christmas special episode, and she's like, no.
Oh, come on. Well, okay. So for this one specifically, I actually really need to know what you're drinking because it's gonna have an effect on your experience. As you said you've probably seen 10 minutes of it, so you know what you're in for.
Yeah, and I think that was like, I'm like, oh, I'm not in the right state of mind to be watching this, so I stopped.
Yeah. Well, I'm forcing you to be today. This shit's gonna get weird.
I'm drinking a Sapporo again.
Nice. I'm not doing anything fancy either.
I gotta branch out soon and get out of this kick I'm on.
No, Sapporo is great. I mean, I'm drinking these hazy little IPAs. They're my favorite, man. They're so good.
I like that it's called hazy. It's a hazy little thing.
Here's a hazy little thing.
It's just like Matthew McConaughey entered your soul for a second. It's a hazy little thing.
Hey, no, but Matthew does have his own IPA. Well, I don't know if he has anything to do with it, but there's an IPA called McConaughey's that is really, really good as well. But absolutely absurdly expensive. Like it's like $14.99 for a 6-pack.
Ooh, shit.
Yeah, it's nutty.
Yeah, well, to be fair, I actually paid $15 for like a 6-pack of Sapporos at the Chopette, which is like, it's not worth that. That's insane.
No shit. Wait, like they're in the on base?
Yeah, which I don't know why the markup is so. There's no tax on the base, so I don't know if it was just like, it's like to combat like the no tax. It's like $15 for 6-pack of regular size cans.
Huh. Weird.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm rocking the tall boys because I went to the Japanese grocery store and it's like $4 or something. That's like awesome. That.
Dude, Japanese grocery store. That's a good indie band name.
Japanese grocery. No, I'm not gonna.
No, do it.
I almost did a voice, and I shouldn't have.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. I think there's a band called Japanese House that's really badass. Maybe we could tour with them. That would be cool.
Is it any relation to the movie House?
No. How have we still not done that?
I might be saving it for a special day.
Ah, a special day, you say? Well, that day is not today. Today is my special day. So I'm gonna give you some random little trivia that I found interesting, and then we gotta watch this fucking movie so we can lose our minds and nerd out about the movie. So I thought this was awesome. So the co-production took a really long time to complete. It took 5 years, and the main reason that it took that long is because in 1968 the Russians invaded Czechoslovakia, and it caused a bit of a delay.
I wish there were history books like that. The Russians or the Germans invaded Poland, and it caused a bit of a delay for a few years.
There was a traffic jam.
There was a traffic jam along the Normandy coast.
Yeah. So this is kind of cool. It was the first animated movie to be rated PG in the United States, which I found interesting. I was thinking like, okay, so 1973, like when were do you know when the first like animated movie was like in theaters in the US? Like what time period that might have been?
Yeah, well, it gets kind of complicated because there were a bunch of animated shorts in the 20s, I think. Like little like 5-minute deals, but I think the first feature length was Snow White. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, our first like one that was like hugely successful.
We talking
was Snow White.
60s?
1939.
Oh, holy shit.
Or
Seriously?
maybe even like mid 30s. I can't remember. But yeah, in the 30s.
Damn. I don't know anything. That's nuts.
Yeah, that's my random little bit of film knowledge that serves me no purpose in life except for this podcast.
Fuck yeah. I mean, that's what we're here to do, baby. Talk about movies.
It's funny that you so I ran across this movie because when Andy and I first started dating, I had my Criterion channel subscription like at the house, and there was this like, I don't know, retrospective on old Czechoslovakian films. Just to like, there's like 30 films, like some of them animated, some of them not. Actually, I think most of them were animated. Like that was like the gimmick or whatever the retrospective was called. But this was on there, and for some reason we didn't get into that. And we watched a bunch of other weird ones that were so bizarre. Like I just kind of dropped in and out of most of them.
Yeah,
so
this one's a trip. And it's interesting you said that. So, and this is what I've seen too. So it's like all French voice actors and devised in France, but it was all animated in Czechoslovakia. I don't know why or what the workflow was there, but interesting nonetheless.
Yeah, I watched that whole like series and I have no idea why Czechoslovakia.
It's awesome.
There was like a Czechoslovakian new wave in like the 60s or something, but I'm not sure why. I don't know. I don't know
New
what was
wave
going on there.
Czechoslovakian stuff. That's my forte.
Yeah, if you want to impress your film friends, talk about the Czechoslovakian new wave.
Talk about
Swept the nation.
Czech New Wave, the Spotify playlist.
Yeah, in the 50s and 60s, and they'll be like, "What the fuck are you talking about?"
Speaking of Spotify, so in 2016, Rolling Stone named this the 36th greatest animated film of all time.
Wow. Someone's smoking on the wacky tobacco over there.
Wacky tobacco.
Rolling Stone.
Number in 36th place, Fantastic Planet.
What is like Lion King number 1?
Who knows? I hope it's Finding Nemo, which is actually the greatest animated film of all time.
What's your favorite Pixar movie?
I mean, probably Finding Nemo. It's tough. Like, they're all so good. There's some that are like almost hidden gems because they're just not as popular as other. Like, did you ever see Big Hero 6?
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of that movie.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I think
what's
I went
yours?
to the theaters. Incredibles, I think.
Oh, yeah,
it's
banger.
my favorite.
Absolute banger.
It's good, even like with all the like funny adult stuff going on, and like if you're like a fan of 60s like spy superhero stuff, like it has more. There's more stuff you can catch as an adult. Like if you're into like that era and film, like there's a bunch of cool like referential stuff in there.
Oh, that's awesome. And I think that's one of the things I love so much about the Pixar Disney movies is that like the best ones are perfectly written in a way that they are just as entertaining to adults as they are to children. Like that's a tough thing to do.
Yeah, especially with the early Pixar movies. Like I think now they've gone full kid mode.
Yeah, it sucks.
Which is a bummer because like if you go back and watch like even the first Toy Story movie, which I think was their first like big movie, it's like there's some dark shit going on in that movie.
Man.
I think we talked about it on the podcast, but it's like they get trapped in Sid's house, and Sid is like basically like a kid version of, I don't know, Jeffrey Dahmer or something, like with the way he treats his toys.
Yeah, like Sid's fucked up, man. It's
terrifying. But then you kind of feel bad for him at the end because he's fully traumatized. Nobody has any idea why.
Yeah, and see, look, those movies, those early Disney Pixar movies. Well, I guess that was just Pixar at the time, right? I guess I don't know if the merger had happened, but
yeah,
it's like, but those movies are proof that like that formula works. Like you don't have to dumb it down. Like kids didn't care. Like they just want to be like visually entertained and be able to roughly understand what's going on. Like you don't have to fucking cater to them so much.
Yeah, and I think kids like get it. Like, I mean, like they're not like, I think kids don't get enough credit, especially now, like catering to like, only their baby brains can comprehend. It's like, we watch insane shit. I mean, I was watching R-rated movies when I was like 10. So, I mean, like I'm coming from a different, like, but I'm sure you did too. I mean, like our parents didn't really care what we watched that much.
No, and it was an issue for me too because I was going to a private Christian school for a while, and needless to say, the other kids in my class were now watching a lot of the shit that I was watching, so I'd come to school talking about it and end up in the principal's office pretty regularly.
Yeah, watching like Saving Private Ryan and shit like
his
that.
guts were hanging out of his. Ugh, here we go again.
I think it was one of the first conversations we ever had because I was like, I had just seen Flags of Our Fathers or something like that, and I was like, oh, it's crazy, like bloody World War II movies. Like, dude, you haven't even seen Saving Private Ryan.
Wait, did I introduced you to Saving Private Ryan?
I think so. Well, I had always heard about it, but my mom would never let me watch it because it was so insanely violent. So I had to. Do you remember when it used to show on TNT all the time, unedited? So like I just had to wait for it to come on TV to watch it because I think it was like somehow they got around the rating system for its historical significance, so they could show all the blood and guts and stuff. So yeah, it was insane, lawless time in TV. But that's how I watched it the first time with commercials.
Yeah, that's fucking bananas. I can't even imagine that. I mean, like how many kids that movie traumatized that were just like, oh man,
just on basic cable.
Yeah,
like,
that's
insane.
nutty.
But I mean, I think they like saved it for like Memorial Day or like specific like Veterans Day kind of events.
Got it. That makes sense. Speaking of which, it was just Veterans Day. Shout out to all of our veterans out there. Thank you for your service. Yeah. Andy's gonna be one day. Thankful for her service.
She never gets Veterans Day off because she's a nurse. So she's like, I don't even get to enjoy the benefits of Veterans Day.
Yeah, that's pretty fucked up.
But everybody else on base gets the day off if they're not in the medical field.
Got it. That's a little unfair, I would say, but
yeah.
But here we are. So there's one more thing I want to say here. So, and I need to tap into your knowledge of things. So this movie won the special prize at the 1973. Is it Cannes? It's Cannes, right?
It's just Cannes.
Cannes Film Festival.
I think there's a fancy French way to pronounce it, but nobody does. They just call it Cannes.
Cannes.
Yeah, Cannes. They call it Cannes.
So I need to ask you, what is the special prize? Because I want to win it, whatever it is.
It's kind of complicated. They have like a lot of different like awards for the top prize is the Palme d'Or. That's like best film of the year, like their best picture. So special prize I think is just like outstanding achievement in like a particular field. Maybe I could be wrong about that, but I think that's what it means.
Because it almost sounds like an honorable mention type of award to me.
Yeah, it's like niche film thing and throw you an award. But then there's like jury prize, like not the judges, but I think the audience votes on what their favorite film was. So jury prize is pretty prestigious as well.
Got it.
But yeah, the Palme d'Or is like the elite of elites. Like if you won that, film snobs around the world know who you are.
Man, that's crazy. Well, I think I'd rather win the special prize because it's special.
I'm special.
Yeah. Well, anyway, without any further ado or hoopla or bullshit, let's. You down to trip out and watch this movie with me?
Mm-hmm. It's a shorty.
It's a shorty.
And it's on my Criterion channel. I just looked it up.
Hell yeah. I think it's also on Max. Not that that's important.
Yeah.
Not that we are promoting any streaming services.
We don't know what they're doing behind the scenes.
No.
Or what child labor laws they're abusing.
That's right. That's right. All right, we're going to take a break. We're going to go watch this movie. We'll be back. Remember, #respect the trumpet. When you hear that trumpet, you know spoilers are on the way. All right, we are back with One Guy's Seen It. My name is Jefferson, and this is Sumner, and we just watched Fantastic Planet. How you feeling about it, some diddly?
I'm feeling great about it. I actually really enjoyed that.
Yeah, let's go. Of course, the weirdest fucking movie I can find is one that you love.
That's the one I like. I mean, there are a lot of reasons to like it, I feel like. For it being as short as it is, like, you get a lot of story crammed in there and a lot of cool drawings and just trippy, weird 70s synth music that's just like almost straight out of like a Pink Floyd porno or something.
Yeah, dude. Like there's, oh man. Okay, so keep. Well, I gotta interrupt you just real quick because it was so hard for me. Like I said, I just saw this for the first time like a week and a half ago, and it was so hard for me not to say anything when you started at the beginning of the podcast when I was like my Japanese friend and you were like, my American imperialist colonizer friend or whatever. I was like, oh my God, you just like nailed the theme of this movie without it. That's why, honestly, like at the beginning, I thought for sure that you already knew the movie I was going to do and that's why you said that. But I think it was just a coincidence. But anyway.
Yeah. We have random coincidences. We'll be talking about something random before one of us knows the movie and then it'll just sync up somehow.
Yeah, fucking crazy. Anyway, go ahead, continue.
There was just a lot of cool shit, and I think like now it's easy to look back at this style and be like turned off by it, like not because it's very low budget, like you can tell right off the bat, like the way, because I don't know if it's with all Czechoslovakian animation, but I've noticed in the couple movies that I've seen that it's really like this slow moving, like almost Monty Python kind of animation style, like old Terry Gilliam animation things.
Okay, so you don't think it was necessarily a truly intentional choice? You think it was sort of a low budget decision?
Yeah, I think to capture what they were doing, to like do it justice, I think was, but I mean, that could also just been the style that they're going for. I don't really know, but it feels like an intentional style thing to me.
Got it.
But yeah, I got a lot of vibes early on with the drawings and the way that they look, like very like Baroque, like Renaissance era style art design, with the humans at least. And then all these crazy creatures that they throw in there for no reason, which I loved. I thought was so cool.
Yeah, the creatures were insane, man. There was, and something that was so interesting was like, so many times throughout the movie, there's like weird, almost sort of like drawn out sequences with no context really for what you're looking at. Like the things that are drawn are so absurd that like you're trying to like have some sort of you're trying to like compare it to something in the world that we know to try to figure out what's going on, and a lot of the time you can't. That's also kind of the charm of it. Like it's just fucking just random shit.
Yeah, because I think the first 10 minutes of the movie happened. I was like, oh, okay, I get it. It's like, maybe like a metaphor for like pets, or like how we treat our pets and like make them subservient to us, but they're like their own form of intelligent being or something. But that quickly got erased quickly into the movie.
Yeah, and I gotta say, the last few movies that I've picked before this, there really wasn't a whole lot to talk about in the way of themes. But this movie really is the exact opposite. I mean, it's pretty much nothing but allegory, and it's. I mean, and tell me if you kind of got this too. This was just my takeaway. Like I haven't really looked anything up, but it seemed like one of the major themes was imperialism and its sort of impact on societies, like the drags treatment of the Ohms sort of like reflects historical dynamics of like colonization and like oppression, right? Like the Ohms are these domesticated, like pet kind of things used for labor, and I feel like drawing parallels to sort of the at least this is kind of what I got from this. I don't know if it was the intention, but like almost the dehumanization of like indigenous populations by colonial powers. And it sort of like raised these questions about those power dynamics and sort of like ethical implications of that kind of dominance. I mean, I feel like I'm sort of rambling, but it's like freedom and rebellion and you know, all of those fucking things. And then a little bit, something that really stuck out at me sort of toward the end was like the balance between like nature and technology, like what's the name of the planet, like Yam or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, they called like the satellite like the wild planet or something like that. But
I still don't understand exactly like the artificial planet, like, or the artificial moon or satellite or whatever, like did it already exist, or did they create it just for the Ohms to live on? Like I was a little confused there at the end.
I was too, yeah. I actually wanted it to go longer. I wanted more context for the things I was seeing. Because it's, as trippy as it is, I feel like it's pretty straightforward. Like, it's not, like, you're not scratching your head a lot through the movie. Like, it's pretty, like, obvious what's going on through, in my mind at least. I thought it was pretty obvious. Like, what was happening.
It almost seems like it was designed to be, like, episodic. Like, I felt like I was watching episodes of a show.
Yeah,
like all crammed into one thing.
I got that vibe too, because I think too, like the passage of time is a really big deal, because they establish early on that the drags, like 1 week of the drag's life is like a year in human life or Ohm life.
Right.
And so like the passage of time is really apparent, like as the story goes along, which I thought was really cool too.
Which it kind of cracked me up that like they go from basically being in the Stone Age, and he's like, and then 15 years later, or 3 weeks of drag time, and like they're suddenly in the space age, and they have all this incredible technology that they've reclaimed, and they wear. Speaking of which, we gotta talk. I don't think I've ever seen so many drawn nipples in
there are lots of boobs.
There's so many. It seemed like, and even with a lot of the, designs of some of like. Just random shit in nature, like some of the plants and trees, but even like some of the animals, it seemed like almost everything had to either look like a nipple or a dick.
Yeah, there was strong sexual imagery like throughout. Well, not even sexual. It was more like just anatomy. Because I even wrote down, I think the cave that they're staying in the tree, it was like very vaginal walls, like, and then it's just like this little slit that they come out of, and I was like, yeah, it's, you know, like a pretty, like. Obvious or crass metaphor for a vagina, it seemed like.
Yeah, there were some particular animals that were like you remember the little things that could like somehow weave the loincloths that they would wear, those little things on the ground with like what the fuck? They look like vaginas spewing this like red goo shit and they somehow can weave. I was like, how do you even come up with this shit in your brain?
Yeah, I wrote down clothes-giving trilobites.
Like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah, it's that was one of the things I liked about it too. It was like it did a really good job for as being as like low tech as it was animation wise. Like it really crafted this world really well. Like it felt like I was there the whole time, which is, you know, is like I can't really say that for like even like big budget like Hollywood sci-fi movies that I've seen that accomplish that all the time. So I was really impressed by that. Like I felt like I was in the world of this place.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Just whatever you do, just beware of the Hollow Bush gang.
Yeah, the Hollow Bush gang. If they just listened to him, everything would have worked out fine.
I know.
Yeah, but I wanted to get back to what you were saying about the so yeah, like initially I thought it was like, oh, it's an analogy for pets. I was like, I wasn't sure if there was going to be more than that. Like I thought the whole movie was going to take place from his perspective, looking at the drag society, but pretty quickly that changes from that to more of like this like evolution of human society from wild to like civilized. Like it goes through the whole like evolutionary process of humanity, which I was like, whoa, that's a big themes to tackle in an hour-long movie.
Yeah, and things really escalate quickly, man. I mean,
yeah, Yeah, like, and that was one of the things too. I thought this was funny. Well, I'll get into it in a minute because I thought that'd be a really fun thing to talk about at the end. But God, what did I even want to talk? There's so much, which I didn't expect there to be.
Yeah, sorry. I've just been jumping around.
Yeah, and one of the early scenes I thought was interesting is like they're talking about the ohms at like this like Congress like business meeting like in this big cathedral where everybody is present for these like four guys talking that like either run the society or like have like some say over how the society is run, but it's almost like a TV like panel show where everybody's talking about their opinions about what's to be done with the society and everybody's present. It was really trippy and weird. Like I didn't expect them to like pan out and like everybody is present in this big cathedral watching this
just
happen.
Staring, man, their expressions, and I know it's sort of like a function of the animation and just, but like all of the like close-ups and like sort of just the stopgaps on people's faces and even the aliens' faces, it was so unnerving, like just fucking weird.
This movie really loves eyeballs. Like there's a big
seriously, the fucking eyeballs.
Yeah, and it was very French kind of movie. I don't even know how to explain that, but there's all these like there's this scene where Tare, I think, or Tar.
Tare, the main guy.
He joins their big tree village, and then he wakes up in the middle of the night and like looks out the window and sees or out of the tree and sees them performing this like ritual orgy thing where like with like a shaman and he's like throwing all this stuff in the air. It's really weird shit.
We have to talk about that because I don't understand what I was watching. Like was it sort of a was it like it was like a glowing communion and like all the women get naked and then they run off? Is it like a breeding ceremony? Is that what's going on?
So.
I was trying to,
because they talk about it at like one of the drags, like I don't know, I don't even know what you call them, but where they like get everybody together and like talk about what's going on. They say they breed like crazy, like, so I think it's like a like an intentional thing, like they're trying to breed as much as possible to like have the numbers to deal with them in some way. So I think that was the purpose of it, but they made it like this whole weird ritual religious thing almost. It was really bizarre, but kind of liked it at the same.
Yeah, and you know what it reminded me of, just because I pay so much attention to like all the megalithic structures that keep getting unearthed and studied, ancient aliens, I love all that shit. But all the stuff about Göbekli Tepe, this site in Peru that they now think is like upwards of 15,000 years old, and it just these incredible ornate carvings and like what they think it was and what they think other megalithic sites around that time and even a few thousand years younger were just basically just gathering ritualistic places for like different tribes and societies to come together and mate, because incest was an obvious issue for a long time, and it was the only way that they could really spread their seed. So there were these big, basically fuckfest music festivals at these ancient megalithic sites. And that was kind of how I was imagining that sort of working here.
Yeah,
with the breeding ritual.
And I was thinking about it too, because the evolution of human to like top of the food chain, that was a gradual process through history. Like it didn't happen overnight, and like there was a theme like getting touched on at the end there. Like it wasn't like they weren't fighting for their survival anymore. They were fighting to be top. They were fighting to be, beat the drags, which I thought was really interesting because like kind of mirrors human civilization's rise to be on top of the food chain and control everything.
Yeah,
which was really cool. Like for an old hippie sci-fi movie, there's a lot of really big, cool themes going on.
Yeah, fucking A. And you brought up the sound design was nuts. Like some of the sounds for some of the like plants when they were opening and closing, and even like I'd be really interested to like see the process of making a lot of the sounds for this, because some of it was fucking weird. And then, like you said, you get this weird Shaft style wah guitar throughout the There's just
the clav
so fucking,
shows up.
Yeah, the clav is so 70s. And it's funny too, because like I looked it up. The first wah pedal came out in 1966, so I guess it makes sense that people were really digging it at the time.
Yeah.
And just using it in everything that they possibly could. And I guess that's why it's so prominent in music from the 70s. But like, it felt so off-putting, but also just gave it this vibe.
Yeah, it was like cutting edge for the time, but dates it so much now.
yeah, it's funny.
Yeah, but it's like it's also kind of the charm of it too, and that's the thing too. It's like I kind of wish this was like a bigger. I think it is, like, in like certain film circles, like this is like a big, like, people talk about this movie a lot being a classic, but I think everybody should try and see this as for like a sci-fi movie. There are very few sci-fi movies that really tackle like all those big thematic subjects like this, because that's like the basis of sci-fi, is like it's an excuse to delve into like really heavy, deep subjects, and I think this movie definitely succeeds at doing that.
Yeah, it's not easy to do in any kind of concise way, and I think that some of the weaknesses of the movie and the animation style are also some of its quirky strengths and why it can get away with things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because you were even saying it's PG, and then there's like ritual orgy scenes and boobs everywhere.
Don't understand the PG. I was thinking about that the whole time. I was like, what? Who rated this? Or like, what was it even? Like, parental guidance? Are you shitting me? Like, that was... I'm a grown-ass man, and I felt uncomfortable.
There's a whole free the nipple thing in the 70s. Everybody was... like,
that was seriously free the nip. It was like those little animals that created their clothes could only make a one boob dress.
Yeah. But, I mean, like, I think it's fitting within the story. Although there are certain outfits that the women are wearing where one boob is covered and the other boob is just completely exposed for no reason.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I felt like I kept seeing that over and over and over again. Like, it just seemed like the the clothes were like designed that way.
Yeah, and I don't think it bothered me that much. I mean, like, because I think with certain French stuff, I get the feeling like, oh, it's like a little bit exploitative. But I mean, like, it being a cartoon and like animated and stuff didn't really bother me that much.
Yeah.
Because it's just, it's supposed to be like natural body, like humans or animals kind of. I don't know. Maybe that's reading too much into it, but
I don't think so, man. I gotta say, I have to shout out, with all the incredibly drawn, weird, plants and animals and people and whatever, my favorite weird alien is the thing that looks like a radish that's like sitting in the tree with the long nose, and it has this tentacle thing hanging out where
I wrote down tentacle owl.
Yeah, the tentacle owl, dude, and he's catching these flying frog things and just murders them while laughing maniacally. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, like, I wrote down flying fish graveyard, and he's just like killing them for fun.
He wins for fucking badassest weird alien in the movie.
Yeah, and I love the scene, which is really like apocalyptic, probably the most apocalyptic scene in the movie, where the tree gets they come and like pretty much just perform genocide on the ohms in their
extermination.
Yeah, the extermination process with the little like gas t-shirt gun that just shoots out all the gas pods everywhere.
Yeah,
which was really cool sequence, but yeah, really apocalyptic, and with like the humans on leashes with the gas masks on, like, but they're like bloodhounds almost, like trying to sniff out the ohms.
Yeah, there was some weird shit going on in that scene, man.
Yeah, and then the scene where they the scene where they killed the giant for the first time, I thought that would have been like more like drawn out and like cinematic looking, but it's like it happened so quickly. I was like, oh, I wish that was like a big moment.
You know what was funny too? I remember thinking like during that scene, because it's I don't know if they talk about the fact that it's like the first time. I don't know if it's the first time a drag has ever been killed by ohms, but it's so funny to me how the second drag that's standing there with him just takes off. Like if he'd have helped him, they could have easily killed them all. Like I mean they're so small. It's like the two of them together, but he just fucking bails and abandons him.
Yeah, which is a really funny sequence because they have like a meeting about it the next day, and it's like, are we so worthless that we're getting killed by these little insignificant things? And then it shows the footage of him just running away, which I thought was really funny. Oh, yeah, and then there's this it's like a 2-second sequence, but they're so Tara gets dressed in like their rags or whatever by the little monsters, and then like those 5 women are just like dancing around him, like all sexually.
You got all these like, new human traditions.
Yeah, and then they're walking around in this like, I called it Brain Noodle Valley, where they're just walking through this valley with all these like little brain noodles popping up.
Another no context, just weird shit, just showing off the artist's fucking drawings. Like,
yeah,
you gotta love it.
I thought at the beginning too, I was like, oh, this would be the worst movie to take LSD to. But then like halfway through it, I was like, oh, this is the best movie to take LSD to. Like it changed so quickly,
man.
Because it was just really creepy at the beginning, which I think is the point. Because it's like you're putting yourself in where the ohm is, and like you're like this weird pet thing that's completely subservient to the drags, and it's really creepy and off-putting, but like to the point of the rest of the movie, which is like kind of what drives the whole plot forward.
Yeah, it's hard to get your footing in the first 45 minutes, but when I was really on board, and probably what was, actually was without a doubt my favorite scene in the movie is when Tiwa, who's the girl drag who owns Tara for a while, she tries to get him to fight with all the other drag kids, and brings them into the little fighting pit, and there's this weird moment where like she puts him down and the other guy, so it's like first the 2 girls are fighting with their hair tied, the 2 girl ohms, and then they drop this older guy in, and he just starts operatic singing like out of I was like
Pavarotti or something.
Yeah, dude, what the fuck is this movie? That was where it had me. It had me by the vice grips, and I couldn't look away.
I was so in that moment too. Like that was so funny. Like he just didn't expect it, and then he just like strangles him because he's so annoyed.
Yeah, like what the fuck, man.
Yeah, and what else was? I
just love that this is the type of movie I would never fucking watch if we weren't doing this, and I wasn't looking for weird shit to show you. But I'm so glad that I've seen it.
Yeah, it's a really cool movie. And more so than I thought. I was like, oh, it was gonna be like a weird French Czechoslovakian movie, like, but yeah, I didn't expect the story to be as solid as it was. Like, it's really cool. And I did think it was funny too. So they had that scene where they're fighting and like the drags are making them fight. And then there's a scene where Tara comes in and is like saying like, hey, you should listen to me. Like you should learn the language. Like I can teach you. And then they're like, no, we have our ways. Like it's like sacrilege to like learn all that. And then they make them fight with these 2 weird bugs on like the front of their bodies.
Yeah, the battle animals, or the war animals, or whatever they call them.
Which I thought was funny because like you'd figure that they would have like learned that that's wrong, having been subjected to it in some one way or another, but they're still doing it in their society too, which I just thought was like irony or something.
Yeah, and I also don't understand, like, and I know it's just supposed to be like comparing sort of, primitive coming of age or welcome to the pack, like rituals that humans would do, but like what was the reason for the fight? Like the whole deal is, I guess, when somebody's new to the tree, they have to fight someone who lives in the tree, and the winner gets to stay. So like they never gain anyone new. Someone always has to die when someone joins. Like it was just really bizarre.
Yeah, it wasn't really explained because it was like he was fighting for, like, I think, like to try to embrace this technology that they have, but they were like still in their like tribal. So it was like maybe commenting on like tribalism of like primitive societies in a way.
Yeah.
I think there's like, some element of that. It's like, because you see the whole evolution. I mean, like you skip ahead like 15 years and then they're way more advanced to the point of like creating rockets somehow. I guess they've learned enough about rockets through their teachings, but it just seems funny that the abandoned rocket facility, it's like they're still teaching rocket science. But
yeah,
anyway.
just a rocket graveyard. They just happened to find it. Yeah, whatever. See, those are the things you can let go because of the grandiose scale of the themes and the characters' ascent. Yeah, man, that was one fantastic planet.
I did want to say, I was thinking about this at the end. I was like, why has this never been made into like a young adult like movie? You know, because like they made those Hunger Games and Divergent movies, which all kind of suck. They're all based around like, you know, like a battle royale kind of thing where they have to like, you know, like kids have to fight to the death and stuff. And it's like, you know, like that's cool and stuff. But like this would be like a great young adult like movie. It like you cut out all the boobs and stuff. Like I think it could actually be really fun. Like be a really good movie.
Yeah, and I was thinking about that too. I was like, the story is really good. I was like, I'm surprised that this hasn't really been remade in any way. But and then I thought about it, I was like, well, the only thing that makes it so cool is how fucking weird it is. I feel like I don't know how well it would translate, but I'm with you. I'd be interested to see some sort of reimagining of it.
So I was thinking about it too. Is like, who would you like want to direct to like keep like the weirdness or like, because I was thinking like, you know, you get like Guillermo del Toro or something like that, who's like really good at creature design or something like that.
Yeah, he'd probably be director number one.
Yeah, or like who's the guy that did Arrival? Denis Villeneuve, or he's doing the Dune movies now, but he could.
Oh yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah, no, I think Guillermo would be perfect. Like, imagine this all Pan's Labyrinth thing. Like, it would be fucking awesome.
It just seems right up his alley. Like, he can embrace the weirdness in a way that other people probably wouldn't.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, but I'm all on board with a remake because I was thinking there's so many cool sequences that they could have done, like with the sequence where they kill the giant for the first time. I was like, imagine that like to scale, where it's like from their perspective shooting up at the giant and stuff. Like,
fuck yeah, man.
And there's so many cool little like even the scene where they like take down the weird pterodactyl monster with like the crater in his face for a mouth.
Oh yeah, he was awesome too.
Yeah,
and they like bathe in his blood.
Yeah, it's really like crazy and ritualistic. It's it's fucking awesome.
Yeah, I dug it. I'm so glad you did too. I mean, I figured you would the first time. I thought you might know a lot more about like the history of it.
Yeah, I mean, very basic outline of like, well, not even. I mean, I don't know much about the French or Czech animation scene at the time.
It seems like a lot of people just consider this a classic. Like,
yeah,
and I get it. It's fucking cool.
And I think it's one of those movies like I would not be sad if they did try to remake it. It's just it's like so low tech and like, but really cool for the time period. But it would be really good like if you kept the integrity of the whole story. But you could add so much to it. There's so much to the lore you could build upon and make a, you know, like a 2 or 2.5 hour movie.
Yeah, which brings me back to the fact that I think it would work really great as a show. Like as just an episodic, because you could draw it out and still have it be really interesting and and there's just so much terrible like, dude, I've been watching this show on that I can't give up on because I hate when this happens, when like you love the premise of a show or you love, you know, the art direction of cinematography and you give it a chance, you hang on longer than you should, and then you're so invested that you have to see how it ends regardless of how terrible it is.
Yeah.
And one of these shows for me recently has been this show on Apple TV Plus called Invasion, which is it's an alien invasion show, and it's shot, you know, very cinematically with anamorphic lenses and incredible color and like the characters and the writing are just terrible. It's like it goes from these like moments of wow, this is really ambitious, I like what they're doing, to this is like the worst soap opera I've ever watched, and not even in a cool way, like Twin Peaks soap opera, like bad, like not trying to be a soap opera kind of way.
Yeah, just
like
actually
trying
being a
to
soap
be
opera.
serious. Yeah, like, and it's amazing what people can get away with if they can make something look really beautiful. And it's like here's something that's super interesting, even just in the weird way that it's presented. And I imagine like this concept with the right writers and the right directors could really be a cool show if it was redone. So I'm fucking with you.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like they're just churning, content out, and it's just it's just like gotta make a show, gotta make it as and that's the thing is like the pandering aspect in most modern TV shows is like it's gotten way out of hand to the point where it's like we gotta try and please everybody, but you end up pleasing nobody. Like that old like cliche, but
yeah,
it's true.
I mean, and it's so true for this show because like it is. I've watched a lot of slow burn shows over the last couple of years that are this way, right? Where it's like an idea that shouldn't be drawn out into a season. It should just be a fucking movie.
Right.
And this is one, it's just fucking egregious. Like you'll go 2 or 3 full episodes without anything significant happening in the plot. And it's just unforgivable. Like, and I know that the shift is going back toward like episodic content, like weekly stuff. Like now that we knew this, we've talked about this forever. We knew this was coming. Like as soon as everybody has all of the streaming services and all the streaming services are now licensing their own content, then there's no reason to drop entire seasons of stuff at a time to entice people. Like you've already got them, so you might as well draw it out and go back to episodic content.
Yeah,
and
you got to keep. Yeah, you got to keep viewership up, which I'm totally, because I mean, like if you really want to, you can wait until it's all out and you can watch it all if you want to. You just gotta have patience.
That's true, and I like, especially if it's a show that I really like, I like having a week to sort of ruminate about what happened. And if you're watching the show with other people, you have a week to talk about what happened in the previous episode. Whereas if the whole season's out, you have to constantly sort of adjust to however far they've gotten in the show or whatever. And so I'm cool with it too. Yeah, and you forget things.
Yeah, which is it was a big thing of why I never really got into television too much. Like I'll watch shit that I'm like interested in. Like I've seen The Sopranos a couple times, and Boardwalk Empire, and now Twin Peaks, and gearing up for another rewatch in the future at some point. Not anytime soon, but
Dude, I'm still just, all I've seen is the pilot, but I loved it. I've just been waiting for time to go back and watch it.
Yeah, it's crazy because I mean, like they have the original run of the show, and then they have the movie, and then they have the return, which is like a whole other animal unto itself. But the original run of the show, like I think I've said this before, but the first season up until season 2, like episode 9, is like hands down some of my favorite television that's ever been made. And which is the cool thing about it is like I learned watching the show that like like serialized television that we've watched, where it's like a continuation episode to episode, like that type of TV making was not really a thing at the time, because you didn't really have nobody really. I mean, I'm sure that it was a thing like DVD sales for TV shows or something. You had like the greatest hits or something like that, but like nobody bought whole seasons of a TV show to watch all the way through like a movie. And the cool thing about Twin Peaks is they kind of pioneered where TV would go in like the next century, like where it was like episode to episode. It's a continuation of the same story, told differently through different perspectives each week to week. But it really pioneered that serialized television. And then, but the producers or the company that like showed Twin Peaks didn't really get it at the time. So they were like, well, you gotta figure it out. You gotta wrap this thing up, and really fuck the whole show over. But I mean, like it paved the way for The Sopranos, like all that shit that we kind of take for granted now as like TV show is just like one long like movie almost. So I don't know. That was a really cool thing to learn about and made me really appreciate the show in a different way.
Yeah, man. Shout out to David Lynch.
Yeah. Which
I
I
don't know
think
how many times we're going to shout him out. By the way, I'm sorry that almost every single movie that I have suggested so far has been sci-fi. It really hasn't been on purpose. I swear to God, I
good.
watch other types of movies.
No, that's good. I mean, like, I mean, we've talked about this before. Like, those are the most fun movies to talk about because you can break down the lore, and like, there's all these other things under the surface that you can delve into. It's just fun to talk about.
Fuck yeah. Well, I mean, I feel like we're probably getting toward the end here. Any big thoughts? Anything you want to touch on? I'm sure you took a lot of notes.
I did, yeah. I don't really think so. I think I got everything out that I wanted to say.
Yeah, I feel like we covered it, man. Fucking classic. Definitely go watch this if you haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Just to
really
inform your senses.
Please your senses.
Yeah, but it is that part of the show, some diddly, where we have to we got to give this thing a rating. So I only had 2 beers, so I don't really know how accurate I can be. It's like all I had to drink were 2 beers. So
I think
what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'd give this a solid like 1 or 2. Like I'm on that. But I mean, like, again, the system is fucked. So I mean, like, I think if you have like 3 beers and a joint, you're still gonna have a wonderful time with this. So.
Yeah, the spectrum is wide with this one. I feel like depending on your level of inebriation or the vices that you have chosen to consume, your experience is gonna be pretty wildly different.
Yeah, and I think if going in, like, if you have an appreciation for the history of animation and like the history of film, and like you can handle something being as like by today's standards as low quality as it is, you have to go in with that mindset that it's like, a different type of animation style, and it's something you kind of have to get into and appreciate for sure. Because it took me a couple minutes not knowing. I was like, okay, I don't really know what I'm in for. But once you're in it, like, it really grabs you.
Yeah, which is the sign of good storytelling and good world building, which is all you need.
Yeah,
man. Well, I'm gonna give it 2 to like 2.5. I feel like it's a sweet spot just to cover sort of both ranges of the scale. Like, it's gonna be, and that's again the inherent flaw with our system. Who really cares at this point? Everybody needs to have their own system. We're just here talking about movies, but we love you guys, all 8 of you that are listening.
It's always 8.
Yeah, including our wives and girlfriends and mothers. But this is one of our favorite things to do. We love watching movies. My name is Jeff.
My name is Sumner.
This has been One Guy's Seen It. And remember,
every movie's better with at least 1 beer. And respect the fucking trumpet.
Respect
you
that
bitches.
fucking trumpet. One guy's seen it, the other guy hasn't. First guy's gonna tell the second guy all about it while they both get drunk.